So I normally don't wear these glasses. So this is what I normally look like. I have allergies today. So my eyes burn and they're kind of runny. So I'm wearing my glasses instead of my contact lenses today. So welcome, Linda. Thank you for coming. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and then you can ask me questions. But I've been a teacher a long time, 2 decades teaching, and I know you know what a decade is, so it's been a long time. And I also was recognized as Teacher of the Year at my campus in a school district called Fort Bend ISD here in Texas. You may be from somewhere else, so that's why I'm clarifying that. I'm in my 7th year as an English teacher at a prestigious private school in Sugar Land. Okay. And I also like to pride myself in bringing a wealth of knowledge to you. And most people my age, and I'm not going to tell you my age, but I am a grandma. Mimi, my grandkids like to call me Mimi. So I am old, but most people are retired my age. But I love kids and I can't stop teaching. So it's making me smart too, because the more you teach, the more you retain. And so I just keep teaching along. So I have a lot of experience and I like to learn new things. So I learned this summer, I took a certification class for AI. So I learned a lot about AI, and now I can train people in the AI realm, and I have enjoyed it a lot. I can't believe AI. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I'm sure you've used it, and it's really interesting. And I use it now as a teacher assistant for myself. So I just love it. I use it a lot. But unfortunately, AI is not that great at writing, okay, and grammar especially. So I know a lot of us like to write and throw it in one of these AI programs, Chat GPT or something, and try to figure out if you've written correctly. And unfortunately, it's not that great yet. It's not, it just depending on which AI you're using. It doesn't always catch little things like proper comma usage or proper italicized or proper title formatting. All that is grammar. Okay. So I always am a big grammar Nazi, right? I like to learn about grammar. I like, and your ELA teacher, you may write the most gorgeous paper, right? Narrative paper, or maybe you've written an expository persuasive paper or argumentative paper, and you've looked at it and you've worked on that for weeks. You turn it in, and that teacher, how dare her, but she gives you a B on it. And you're like, why did I get a B? And usually it's the grammar, right? The punctuation, the capitalization, how to do things properly. And they don't have time to teach you all that in school sometimes. Think about it. Your teachers have to teach you reading skills, writing skills, how to write a paper, how to format a paper, you know, maybe a lot of vocabulary. So grammar gets like, you might get a little bit of grammar through the year, right? And it's so important. What I do is I also tutor in ICE. If you don't know what that is, it's an English subjects. It's a testing mechanism. It's a test you have to take whenever you want to get into a private school. But those tests and the way I teach, a lot of it is grammar. And so I want to stress with you how important grammar is. And you'll see what I mean whenever we go through some of it in a few minutes, okay? Real quick, more about me, real quick. Bachelor of Science degree. I did graduate from U of H. It's called University of Houston if you're not from Texas. And I did graduate with honors. And again, I'm certified. I'm a generalist, which means I can teach science, and I've taught science before. Math, don't like teaching math. Much rather teach ELA. And also I've taught social studies before. So I can teach any core subject, And I have a big commitment on education. And I practice what I preach. I am involved all the time with education. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I'm a member of the Texas Association of Gifted and Talented, and I'm also on the National Council of Teachers of English in Texas. So on a personal note, I have not always lived here in Texas. I am from West Virginia. It's a beautiful part of the country that with lots of mountains, and it's not hot all the time like it is here in Texas. So I moved here to Sugar Land 20 years ago. No, 30 years ago. Wow. 30 years ago. It's been a long time. And um, I love it here because it is cool to live in Texas, but I miss the weather in West Virginia. I like the changes of the seasons. Like I like to see leaves falling in the fall, not the summertime like they do in Texas. We have live oaks, and all the trees lose their leaves with a live oak and the new ones come in, but that's in the summertime. It's kind of weird here. But anyway, I do love children. I love it, all kids, and I have a really diverse background in teaching. Okay, so I'm always learning how to do cool things with you so you won't be bored with me. So we will again have fun in class. I'll get to know you a little bit, and eventually you'll get to know me more. And so every Sunday we meet, and we meet Sundays from 4:30 to 6:30. That's Central Time in case you're from another part of the country. And it starts September 8th, and that's almost here, believe it or not. I can't believe it already. It's almost September, getting closer and closer to that date. So we'll meet every Sunday. Sometimes we don't have a class in between, depending on what's happening with holidays and so forth. And then November 24th is our last class together. Now, here's what's so great about Momentum, and this is why I started working with them, because we are recorded when we teach, okay? So whenever we're recorded, you can miss the class because I know you've got other life. You've got life things to do. You might have an orchestra concert. You might have piano concert. You might have sports in middle school starting up, and you might be busy when we have class. So we have these recorded for you to where you can watch them anytime. And you'll see what I mean whenever I start the class demonstration. Any questions about me? Do y'all have any questions about Mrs. Coombs? I don't even know if I said my name when you came in, so sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go on then. So this is a little bit about the class, okay? Because like I said, unfortunately, you're not taught a lot of grammar, punctuation, and so forth, or even in writing, sometimes the teacher has to scurry through those different types of sentences, like parts of a sentence, to make greater detail, to make sure your predicates stand out, that your objects are direct or indirect, and that you have modifiers in your sentences. So the teachers want you to write, right? We want you to be successful at writing, but it takes time to learn grammar. So that's where you usually get dinged at, right, in writing, and that's where I come in. So in this class, you're introduced to there are many complex and structures of English and grammar. And we're going to be focusing on those fundamentals of grammar while also expanding your knowledge. Okay, so you may already know some of this, but we expand on it because unfortunately every year gets harder and harder. You've seen that. You're starting or in 6th or 7th grade, maybe 9th grade or 8th grade. So you know that every year it does not get any easier, especially with ELA. So grammar is part of that. So I like to go through and make sure you know what a noun is, pronoun, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunctions, interjections, and then not only know them, but how to write with them, right? And know how to use them correctly in sentences. So I know it sounds boring, but I try to make it as fun as possible. We will have sentence structure too, because your teachers, I'm sure they're always telling you that's a simple sentence. You need to write more of a sentence. You need to recognize to add more adjectives, to have a sentence such as a declarative or interjective type, or maybe an imperative sentence. So you're like, oh, bother. I don't remember any of that stuff I learned last year about that. Why does she keep thinking I know this? Well, because she was supposed to have learned it the year before. And like I said, grammar sometimes falls through the wayside, right? When you have you don't have a lot of time in class, and then you got to go to your next class when the bell rings. So that's where tutoring does help you. So we'll seal the deal on those, okay? So we have a lot of grammar rules with grammar, and you have to know those rules in order to write properly, and mechanics. So what I mean by that, and I'm reading right here, by the way, if you want to follow along with me, is like a subject verb agreement, or maybe a tense consistency. Some of us will start writing in one tense, and then we end up in another tense in the paper, and you're dinged on that. So I'll help you with that. Punctuation is imperative to write properly, and like I said, unless you know that, and like what I do is I start, we're going to go through things you already know. You already know what an adjective is and an adverb, but maybe you don't know what a preposition and a conjunction is. And there's 3 types of conjunctions. Maybe you only know about the fanboys, right? And you don't know about the other ones. So that's the kind of things that I seal the deal with you and you understand. There's different parts of sentences. There's modifiers. You're like, I don't know what a modifier is. Well, I'll teach you that. There's different types of objects. There's a direct and an indirect. So I ask you the question now, do you know the difference? More than likely you don't, and I'll go over it. And if you don't understand it, it's okay. We will go over it again. I want to make sure you understand. So writing skills, in order to improve your writing, you have to focus on clarity, right? I'm right here now if you want to follow along. Clarity. You have to be coherent in your writing and organization of your ideas. And I'll help you understand that in this class. And like I said, we do have some fun games. I try to make it as fun as possible. So you're like, oh, ball, the grammar games. How fun can that be? But we do have a lot of fun with the games. So let me give you an example of some games. And you probably don't like these two because I've used them a lot, and kids will finally say, can we play another game? And so I'll say, give me your idea of a game that you like to play. And then I learn the game, and then I set forth the parameters of the game. I add questions into the game and so forth. And then we play the game together. So you've heard of Kahoot. That's old school, right? You know what that is. You probably know what Blooket is. You know about that. But there's a lot of other ones I play too. I'm not going to give all my tricks away right now, but it will be a lot of fun and you'll enjoy it. Now, the class does have some grammar exercises. You're actually going to have to do a little bit of work in the class, right? I can't like entertain you the whole time. But we do have, like, I'm reading right here, fill in the blank sentences. We have correcting grammar errors. You'll be doing that in class. You'll be analyzing sentences, and you'll be identifying parts of the speech in the sentences. And I'll help you do all that. It's not like you're by yourself in the class. We'll do it together, and you'll have some work. You will have some homework, and please don't be mad at me about that. But we want to make sure. I might work with you for 2 hours on something, and I give you homework because you need to work on it the rest of the week, right? You have a whole week to work on it. And if you cannot get to that homework, just let me know. I know you have a life, so just let me know. I will go over the homework in class the following week, and then we'll talk about anything that you are not understanding about specific grammar skills. Okay. And it will be more interesting than the way I'm talking, right? So just know that it is going to be a little more fun than just this little presentation you're seeing. So now I'm going to give you a little example of what it's like. Okay. We use what's called Canvas platform. Momentum does. And I love Canvas. I don't know, you may be used to a school platform such as Schoology or maybe Alma, something like that. You know, all schools have different platforms that you learn on. So what Canvas does is it's so easy. I thought it was going to be tough to understand. And you know, I'm old, so I get it. And I know you'll get it just like that. It'll be easy for you to understand. So what I do is this. I put into Canvas, and you'll get a sign in for it. And you'll see everything here. It's really cool to follow along here. I'll put my syllabus in and all the files. It'll be by different pages. And uh-oh, you see grades. Okay, there are a few tests, and I call them assessments or quizzes, right? That's only to make sure you're understanding. Everybody usually does really well on the tests, so I will always get you prepared for those. And so I'll drop in like on week 1, here's an example. You'll have a handout. We'll go over those. You're going to see similar things like this in a minute. And then we'll go over, this one's a vocab because I also teach vocabulary and for momentum. And then we'll have questions that we'll do together, and you'll do a few like in breakout rooms with someone else or possibly by yourself independently. And then the homework will be assigned weekly. Okay. And you'll do the homework and everybody will be learning. And again, if you don't get to that, you just let me know. What's really cool is this button down here, and it's called the recording. So if you are unable to make a class, or if you go on a trip or something, you can always watch the videos. And what I love about Momentum is they leave the videos on even after the class is done, like at the end of the class. You'll have them for an additional 3 months, concluding your camp or class. So what's cool about that is this. You may be in school and you may have a test coming up on maybe certain things that you don't understand with grammar, and you can go back and watch me, and you can understand that the information by looking at the way I teach, what sheets and what type of homework we use, and you can use that as a study guide for your test at school for grammar, okay? And again, grammar is used a lot during writing, the writing exams and writing, you know, papers. You have to do essays. So I want you to get those A's. And so grammar is important to know. You'll be, I'm just reading right here. You'll be invited to the classes, okay? It's sent to you, not your parents. And it'll tell you about the start date and a reminder that you have your class on Sunday, okay? Now, homework does need to be, you can either submit it or we go over it in class, okay? Sometimes you will have to print out a few things. It's not all interactive, okay? I try to do that for you, have them interactive, but sometimes if you're unable to grab it, you can always print it. I do hard copies too for you, okay? Are there any questions? And then, of course, we use Zoom, and you'll get that Zoom link. Are there any questions about any of this? Okay, so let's just pretend you're online for a class. So you come in, I'm already in Zoom, right? It's not like I have to let you in. You'll just come right in when you sign in. I'll be here. I'll greet you. I'll probably call you by name because I see some names. I don't know if you see it, but you have names beside your Zoom. So let me look at some names here. So I would be welcoming Emma, Ethan, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but Cyrus. Can you help me with your name? Is it Chami? So I'm not sure how to say your name, and I apologize for that. Plus, it's tiny on my screen, so it's hard for me to see. But I'm Mrs. Coombs. Good to see everybody again. So we would just start out, right? I would have you open up your Canvas platform here. We would be working on the handout. We would go over all of the grammar objectives. And then I love to show videos. Y'all like videos? So I'm going to bring a video up it's not, it may be not in the order like the first week video we're going to watch. It's just an example of one. Okay. So let me stop sharing so I can grab that for you. And then you'll need to let me know if you cannot hear the video, right? Because sometimes whenever we share online, we don't hear videos. So you have to just unmute and let me know, or you can send me what's called a chat. And that's on my screen, it's at the bottom for Zoom. So let me go ahead and bring this up for you. This is going to be over interjections. Okay, so let me bring this up. Let me come back to you on Zoom. Let me hit that share button. And then here we go. I'm going to go ahead and blow it up. Oh, I forgot to hit the button that you can hear. Hold on, give me a minute. I got to go back and hit that button. You know, Zoom has a button. I don't think you can see what I'm doing, but there's a share sound button and also a button now. It's called optimize for video clip. So I have to push that or click it or you don't hear it. So let me do that. All right, here we go. Let me know in the chat or just tell me out loud if you cannot hear it. So I'll stop and work on that, okay? So here we go. Tell me if it's too loud or anything like that.
Interjections. Sorry to interject, but do you know what an interjection is? Apologies, I couldn't help myself with that little joke. Seriously though, an interjection is a word, phrase, or expression that interrupts your speech or writing in order to express an emotion or reaction. It's kind of like that one great uncle everyone seems to have that shows up at family gatherings and shouts out things in the middle of dinner like, "Holy guacamole!" or "Great Scott!" You can't help but roll your eyes at how ridiculous it is. But hey, your uncle can't help it. He's just expressing his surprise, or maybe pain, or perhaps happiness, or is it anger? You never can tell with that uncle. So just think of that wacky uncle when you're trying to identify interjections. Interjections are easy to spot because they're usually exclamations of surprise, pain, happiness, or anger.
So I like to stop my videos sometimes and explain what you just saw or watched. So this is something else that we usually have a hard time doing in writing. So you would interject interjections whenever you're writing a narrative paper. The narratives consist of, fictional papers. Maybe you'll have to write a personal narrative every year, or some years you don't. You do other narrative papers, right? So to write properly, you need to put interjections in your paper. And interjections are hard to do sometimes. We even have a hard time with interjections when we're speaking to one another. Because why? Because it has something to do with emotion, okay? Or a reaction. So my students who have a hard time showing their emotion, or maybe they've been suppressed somehow in showing their emotion, or they've been told, don't show your emotion or reaction, then it's super hard for them to actually put an interjection in their writing. So what this lesson is about is how to write and understand the grammar term interjection. So we're going to see some examples of it, and some examples hopefully you will use in your writing, okay? So let's go on. And remember, if you have any questions, all you have to do is tell me and I'll stop right away.
All right, I mentioned that interjections are easy to spot, but have you ever wondered what interjections actually look like? Well, imagine if words could party. That's what they'd look like. Wow would be the life of the party, with its arms flailing and confetti flying everywhere. Yikes would be the one cowering in the corner, afraid of everything. Ouch would be the one clutching their knee and yelling for a Band-Aid. Darn would be the one grumbling in the background, annoyed that they got picked to take out the trash. And oh would be the one swooning over the cute new kid at school, batting their eyelashes and fanning themselves. But let's not forget about the more neutral interjections. Well would be the responsible group member, making sure everyone did their part for the project, and hey would be the one calling everyone to attention, trying to get the group organized.
So you would write your interjections, and remember, these are just common ones right now that you're seeing. But in the lesson, you would learn more difficult, more concise interjections that you can implement into your dialogue. So remember, when we write narrative writing, you must write dialogue. So those books that you enjoy, science fiction, or maybe any type of fantasy books, or maybe you enjoy reading mysteries. There's always people conversing with one another, talking, okay? That's where you have to use your punctuation marks, right? And your exclamation marks whenever you show dialogue. But this interjection teaches you how to use common interjections in your speaking, either out loud like I'm doing, or maybe on paper, okay? So maybe we don't use this kind of tone when we speak to one another, but your teacher will expect you to do so on your narrative writing assignment. So that's one part, and we're almost done here with this little video, but this is just one part of grammar that you'll learn, and this is like a simple one right here. But maybe teacher's not gone into an interjection with you before. Maybe you've not learned interjections yet. And if you haven't, then that's where I come in. Or if you have, you're going to be able to broaden your interjections when writing. Okay?
P.S. What do you think woohoo might look like? Now you're probably wondering, or hey, maybe you're not, where interjections go in a sentence. By the way, did anyone catch that interjection I just used? If you did, woohoo! 2 points for you. Eek! I did it again and again. Okay, I'll stop now. Often, interjections stand on their own. For example, ouch! The bee stung me. Wow, the sunset is beautiful. Other times, interjections can interrupt a sentence using commas, parentheses, or dashes. For example, I went to the carnival and, well, it didn't go as planned. The go-kart rolled down the hill and whoops, hit the judge's table. Hey, did you hear that sound? Let's wrap up this lesson on interjections by identifying when you should actually use them. Whether you're yelling, "Holy cow!" at the top of your lungs or muttering, "Nah," under your breath, interjections are the perfect way to convey your emotions when something unexpected has happened. But let's face it, when you're writing a formal essay for your language arts teacher, you're not exactly going to throw in a yippee just for fun. However, in casual conversation or informal writing, interjections are the spice of life. They add a little flavor and personality to your language, like a dash of hot sauce on your eggs. So the next time you're feeling a little emotional, let those interjections fly.
All right, I'll stop this here. One thing you'll also have to go along with any video I show is you'll have the lesson notes, right? And you can make notes on what we're talking about in the video. So let me ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it, or you might want to answer it. You can put it in the chat if you're too embarrassed to talk. But when you are thinking about writing, you need to enhance your writing, or maybe you want to join a contest in writing. You know, there's a lot of contests for writing. You can get scholarships for writing. And you can put that on your resume for college if you've ever received a writing honor or writing contest. You've come in first, second, or even third, or place there. I'm a judge on writing contests. I need to put that on my resume for momentum, but it's called, for private schools, it's called PSIA, okay? And so we have creative writing, we have ready writing, and guess what? The kids that always win those writing contests, they do add interjections into their part of what's called dialogue, right? Because we always have to, people have to talk in a paper like that. So I just want you to know that even if you don't take my class, that's a good way to learn a or win a writing contest by putting emotion. When your reader reads your writing, they need to feel that, right? That's part of the five senses. And if you're utilizing an interjection, then therefore you're adding more than anybody else is in your class or anybody else in a writing contest. So you're probably going to win. So just remember, this is what I mean. I don't know if your teacher explains these things to you, but if they don't, that's where I'm going to be honest with you and tell you about it. So it's pretty cool. So after we would watch the video, we would go over, I'm not sure if you have the information in front of you about an example of, I can find one for you. Hold on. I gave Momentum some information about what we do, about some of our sheets that we use. And what's cool about them is some of them are not, you'll have to print a few. Like I'll put it on Canvas and you can print it. Some of them are not always online. So let me show you or give you an example of one of the sheets that we'll be using in class. Hold on, I'm getting a little buffer here. Okay, I could show you this too. Yeah, this is it. This is what I'm going to show. Okay, let me share it with you real quick. Let me come back to Zoom because I have another screen open. Okay, so this is an example of I'm getting a little note here. Okay, so this is a PowerPoint, okay, or slides if you have an Apple. So you would have this, okay. It's going over what we just went over. Let me go ahead and do the view where I'm doing a presentation here. So you would be taking notes. So because sometimes you will have these where you'll have to fill in, you'll have to actually write that because when you watch a video, you can't write everything down, right? I mean, there's no way. So what I do is I go through the actual video. You'll have this before you watch the video. Then I teach it to you. Like I stop the video, we discuss the video. We also go over all of what they look like. See, this is almost exactly what you just watched, right? So what this is just I teach using all three ways of learning. There's a tactile learning. Some of us have to actually do it. In other words, write it. And then you also can learn visually. That's where my videos come in. That's where these handouts come in. And then some of us are visual. Okay. You have to see it. I'm like that. I have to see things before I learn it. So we all learn differently. And I teach all three ways in the class for you. So I hope I haven't confused you with that. I went a little bit too much into that, but this is an example of what you'll have. And then I'll have you circle a few things, showing me that you understand. I have an exit ticket for the class that will do this. And if I see you not understanding the concepts, I'll ask you just to stay on a little longer and everybody hangs up from Zoom and then we go over them to make sure you understand. Okay. And then you'll sometimes have homework on it. Are there any questions so far? Tell me if I'm going too fast for you or you don't understand what I'm talking about with interjections, or maybe you want to ask me a question exactly what else are we going to learn? So just go ahead, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat. I'll be glad to help you. Let me see what time I'm supposed to hang up. I get talking and I do sometimes lose track of time. So let me look quick if you don't mind. So we're supposed to go to 2:15 in the open house. Oh, good. We have time. It's 2:08. So I can answer any questions. I can show you the video again. I can show you the handouts again. Thank you, Ethan. Ethan's giving me a thumb up. I love those little emojis, don't you? But like I can do anything over again for you. And again, if you sign up for my class, you're always going to have the videos too to look at. And you'll have those 3 months after the class ends. So I hope to see you all. I just, we will have fun together. Do you want me to show you a game maybe that we do? Would that help since we have a few more minutes? Would you like to see that? I don't know. I don't want to keep you. I know you have other things to do, so just let me know. Just tell me. I'm at your beck and call, so just tell me what you want to see. I could probably show you a game. The kids are all like, I want to see a game. I want to see a game. Gimkit. That's the other game. It just came to me. Gimkit. Do you all like Gimkit? Give me your emojis. They're down at the bottom of the screen on mine. Do you like Gimkit? Anybody? I used to play Gimkit at school. Yes. You know why you played it at school, Ethan, is because it is a educational game, right? So I played Blookud. Anything else? Anything you want to see real quick while we're still on here? We do have 5 minutes left. So Cyrus, which game do you want to see? Emma, I see you play Kahoot. I know Kahoot is fun too. I love Kahoot. You know, they're making the teachers pay for Kahoot now. It used to be free, but it's not anymore. Okay, let me look at my chat. Kahoot. Yeah, I think Kahoot. They blocked Gimkit at your school? I don't understand. Hey, Emma, I don't understand why they did that. Because it's a great, my kids in the momentum class, that's their main game they love to play. And these educational games, it's okay to play them because I see where whenever you use something in a game, it's a different format, right? So you're learning and you're applying what you just learned in the game. That's the only way you can win the game. And that's the only way you can keep going in the game. Are all those objectives that you just learned. So it gives me a clue on if somebody keeps losing, maybe they don't know how to play the game because that Gimkit's pretty tough. There's several different levels, the one you have to jump from one item to the next. I tried that. I always fall down. So I don't do well on that one, but I know the answers, right? I get all the answers right, but you also have to jump. So that's just part of the keyboard thing you're using to jump. But there's other ways to learn on there. There's other games in Gimkit within the Gimkit realm or program. So we do, and if you know of a game, let's say you've learned a game at school, or maybe your kid, maybe one of your friends use it to learn. Tell me about it, and I'll figure it out, and we'll play it in my class with Momentum. All right. Okay, I still don't understand, Ethan, why they blocked Gimkit because the kids do love it and it's a great game. So you need to talk to, see, this is where you could write your persuasive paper to your principal. Dear principal, we need to be unblocked from Gimkit. These are the reasons why. I would help you write it in the class, right? In the Zoom class. And persuasive writing gets things done. You've heard of the old saying, power of the pen? It works every time. It does. I've had too many instances where it works. That is if you write it properly, right? Okay, I'm kind of rambling now. So if you have any questions, I'm hoping I get to see you in my class. If not, it's been a pleasure spending this time with you. Thank you for coming to the open house. If you have any questions, ask Momentum and they can answer them for you. So hopefully I'll see you all. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. And if you need anything, just ask Momentum and hopefully we'll get to spend some time together on Sunday starting September 8th. Okay? Well, bye-bye. Y'all have a good afternoon.